While I was setting the table at Thanksgiving, my dad recorded a video of me and posted it on Facebook with the caption, "Look at this failure. She was always a servant." My siblings laughed. I got angry and left. The next day, my sister wrote, "Why can't I withdraw $2,000 from your account?" Without thinking twice, I exploded. Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. I'd love to know who's part of our community. That night, I laid on my Aunt Susan's guest bed, fully dressed. My phone was face down on the nightstand. Silent. When I said I exploded, I don't mean I screamed. I didn't throw things. I didn't even cry. My explosion was quiet. It was cold. It was a few taps on a glass screen. I'd walked out of that house, got in my car, and just drove to the one safe place I had, my aunt's. I sat in her driveway for 10 minutes before going inside. And at 8:12 in the morning, when my sister Chloe's text came through, I just opened my banking app. I looked at the joint account, the one that was supposed to be for emergencies only, and I looked at my own savings. $28,000. It wasn't a fortune, but it was my escape. I had worked over 50 hours a week for 3 years at my logistics job to save that. I skipped vacations with friends. I drove a 10-year-old car with a crack in the windshield. I said no to every dinner out, every new pair of shoes, all while Chloe, my aspiring influencer sister, bought new skincare and concert tickets every single week. Her emergencies were always just things she wanted. So, at 8:13, I didn't explode. I just acted. I transferred every single cent, all $28,000. I moved it to a brand new, private account at a completely different bank. Then, I initiated the paperwork to permanently close that joint account. By 8:15, it was done. The question I get asked, the one you're probably thinking, is why? Why did I let it go on for so long? Why did I put up with it? You have to understand, you don't stay in a situation like that because you're weak or because you're stupid. You stay because you've been trained to. It's a trap. They teach you that every small act of service, every dish you wash, every bill you help pay, every time you swallow your pride, is the only way you can earn a scrap of affection. Psychologists have a name for it: learned helplessness. You get so used to the quiet hum of the dysfunction that you just endure. You just try to get through the next dinner, the next holiday. You let one little comment slide, then another, then you're loaning your sister money you know you'll never see again. And before you know it, your own father is humiliating you on the internet for fun. And your sister is demanding $2,000 like it's her allowance. I wasn't weak. I was just finally awake. And I was done. The silence lasted exactly 1 hour. Then, my phone didn't just buzz. It began to vibrate so hard it nearly fell off the nightstand. It was Chloe, a barrage of texts, one after another. So fast, I could barely read them. My card was declined. Declined. At Sephora. Are you kidding me? The $2,500 purchase didn't go through. What did you do, Jenna? I need that stuff. You need to fix this now. I just stared at the messages. No, are you okay? No, where did you go? Just pure. Unfiltered entitlement. I didn't answer. 5 minutes later, a new text. This one was from my father. Richard. His was short. Just one line. You've always been dramatic. Grow up and put the money back. Again. Not a word about the video. Not a word of concern. Just an order. Like he was telling an employee to fix a spreadsheet. Put the money back. I felt a cold laugh bubble up in my chest. I didn't let it out. Then came my brother, Kyle. He didn't text me directly. He was always more of a coward. He went to Instagram. He posted a picture of our family's garbage cans out by the curb. The caption just said, "Taking out the trash, Jenna." He even tagged me in it. I just sat there. I watched these messages come in, one by one. Each one was like a little hammer tap, tapping on a wall that was already full of cracks. They weren't just proving my point, they were writing my whole argument for me. They had no remorse. None. They weren't sorry they had hurt me. They were just furious that the ATM was finally, suddenly, out of service. I blocked Chloe. I blocked my father. I blocked Kyle. I turned my phone back over, face down, and I breathed. The silence in my aunt's house was so complete. I could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. It stayed quiet for the rest of the day. I didn't sleep. I just rested. The next morning, I got a text from a number I hadn't blocked. My cousin, Ryan. He was the neutral one, the one who always stayed out of the drama. His text just said, "Jenna, you need to see this. Are you okay?" Attached was a screenshot. My brother, Kyle, had posted a new photo to his Instagram story. It was my bedroom. My bedroom. Back at my parents' house. Or what was left of it. The door looked like it had been kicked open. The drawers were all pulled out, dumped on the floor. My clothes, my books, just thrown everywhere. A bottle of foundation had been smashed on my mirror. And you could see a boot print in the middle of a pile of my sweaters. Underneath it, Kyle had written a simple caption, "Cleaning Day." And right below that, a comment from my sister. "Clue, don't worry. We saved your trashy notebooks. LOL." I didn't cry. I hadn't cried when my dad posted that video. I didn't cry when Chloe demanded her money. But now, sitting on that quiet guest bed, holding a phone with photographic evidence that my own siblings had just destroyed my space, my last little bit of sanctuary, I felt something in my gut go sharp and cold. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't a dramatic misunderstanding. This was hatred. This was punishment. This was the point of no return. I showed the screenshot of my destroyed room to my Uncle David. He was quiet for a long time. Just looking at my phone, he's a calm man. My uncle, not prone to outbursts, but I watched his jaw tighten. And a look I'd never seen before, a kind of protective anger, settled onto his face. He didn't say. I'm sure they didn't mean it. He didn't say. It's just stuff. He just nodded, handed the phone back, and said, "All right, Jenna, that's it. You're not just staying for the weekend. You're staying. You're not going back there. Not ever." He made coffee, and we sat at the kitchen table. The silence felt different. It wasn't the heavy, anxious silence of my parents' house. It was the silence of someone thinking, finally. He looked at me and said, "Jenna, this isn't just family drama anymore. This is something else. And I need to tell you something I've kept quiet about for a long time." I just waited. "You know your father, Richard, still owes me $8,000. Right." He blinked. I had no idea. "About 4 years ago," he said. He called me, panicking, said their roof had a major leak after a storm and he was short on the insurance deductible. Begged me for a loan. $8,000? Promised he'd pay me back in 6 months? My uncle shook his head. That was 4 years ago. I've never seen a cent. I kept telling myself, he's your brother-in-law. Let it go. Don't make waves for the family. I was going to let it go. He looked at the phone in my hand. But now? No, not after this. He's not just cruel. Jenna, he's a liar. I was still trying to process this. Trying to add this new $8,000 lie to the pile? When my laptop, sitting on the table, chimed with a new email. I wasn't expecting it. I'd blocked them all on my phone. But this wasn't from them. The name on the email was a man I barely knew. My father's business partner. My heart hammered. I opened it. The email was short. It was polite. He wrote, Jenna, I'm so sorry. I was at the 4th of July barbecue. I saw the toast your father gave. It was uncalled for. I just wanted to check in and make sure you were okay. I almost stopped reading, but the next part made my blood run cold. I don't mean to overstep. He wrote, but your father and I are in the middle of closing a major contract. And as you know, I'm the primary co-signer on his business loan. I'm getting worried about his judgment lately. Please let me know if you're safe. I read that line 3 times. Co-signer on his business loan. Worried about his judgment. And just like that, everything clicked into place. My father's text, you've always been dramatic. Grow up and put the money back. I thought it was just anger. It wasn't, it was panic. He wasn't worried about me. He wasn't worried about the family. He was worried I would talk. He was worried his business partner, the man who held his financial life in his hands, would find out that the daughter he just humiliated was also the one he was stealing from. The conflict wasn't just emotional anymore. It was professional. And I was just beginning to realize how high the stakes really were. A few days passed in this strange, tense quiet. I just existed. My aunt and uncle gave me space. I helped with dinner. I read a book. I didn't check my email. I didn't unblock anyone. Then, a thick envelope arrived. My cousin Ryan had found it in his own mailbox. Addressed to him, with my name scribbled on the inside envelope. He brought it over. Looking confused. Your dad dropped this off. He looks rough. Jenna. My father's handwriting was on the front. Just my name. Jenna. I took it to the guest room and sat on the bed. My hands were perfectly steady. It wasn't an apology. It was a manifesto. 4 pages. Handwritten. Front and back. It was a bizarre, rambling list of my flaws. It was all the things he'd never had the guts to say to my face. All compiled into a list of his justifications. You were never easy to understand. You always acted like you were better than the rest of us. With your quiet reading, your sister has problems. I know that, but you're the strong one. You should have been the bigger person and helped her more. Not cut her off. I was skimming. My blood getting colder and colder with every self-pitying line. I was about to just rip it up, and then I saw it, buried on page 3. A paragraph that changed my entire life. I'm not perfect. Jenna, I know I'm hard on you, but I had to make hard choices for this family. I took out a small loan in your name about 5 years ago. It was nothing. Just a small amount to cover a gap in a contract. It was a business thing. I paid it all off before you ever even noticed. It didn't even matter, so don't try to make it a big deal. It didn't even matter. I read that sentence 4 or 5 times. A small loan, in my name, it didn't matter. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I just felt nothing. A complete, cold, terrifyingly sharp void. I stood up, walked out of the guest room, and into the kitchen where Uncle David was reading the paper. I didn't say a word. I just handed him the letter, my finger pointing to that one paragraph. I watched him read it. He read it twice. The calm, protective anger from before was gone. His face went pale. He put the letter down on the table. Very slowly, he stood up and said 2 words. My laptop. He sat me down at the kitchen table. Jenna, he said, and his voice was different. It was hard. We are pulling your credit report. Right now. We went online. We filled out the forms. I typed in my social security number, my hand shaking just a little. And then, the page loaded. I couldn't speak. I just stared at the screen. It wasn't a small loan. It wasn't paid off. There were 2 credit cards. 2, both opened in my name. With my social, mailed to my parents' address. 2 cards I had never, ever seen before. One of them had a $3,000 balance, maxed out, with late fees piling up. The other one, for $1,500, was listed as closed, charged off for non-payment. He'd run up the cards and then just stopped paying one of them. He'd let it go to collections, absolutely destroying my credit. All while I was working 2 jobs and thinking I was just bad with money. He hadn't just borrowed money, he stole my name, has stole my identity. He committed fraud, and then he wrote me a letter confessing to it, like it was a minor disagreement about the weather. And that's when I finally understood it was never about me being a servant. That was just the cover story, the lazy, cruel nickname to keep me in my place. I finally saw it. In a toxic family system, there always has to be one scapegoat. It's a role, and the rest of the family needs that person. They need someone to pile all their own failures onto, all their own debts, all their own secret crimes. They point at the scapegoat and yell, "That's the failure." So they don't have to look in the mirror and see the monsters. They really are. I wasn't the family failure. I was the family vault. And he had just handed me the combination. My Uncle David made 1 phone call. The next afternoon, I was in a sterile BIGA office, handing a stack of papers to an attorney. She was all business. She read Richard's confessional letter, the credit reports showing the $3,000 and $1,500 fraudulent accounts, and the photos of my destroyed room. After 10 minutes, she looked up. "Ms. Miller, this isn't a family dispute. Your father has committed multiple federal crimes, identity theft, wire fraud. We can start the paperwork today." I just felt cold. I nodded. "Okay, what do we do first?" But when I got back to my uncle's house, my mother, Linda, was standing on the porch. She was pale, holding a crumpled grocery bag. My first thought was that she was here to beg for him. She wasn't. "Jenna," she whispered, I'm leaving him." She'd been planning it for months. The bag she was holding, it was more evidence. "He's been lying to me, too," she said, the words spilling out. "He's been borrowing money from all the relatives for years, using your name, telling them you were in trouble." I pulled out a statement, a $5,000 transfer from a cousin. Another $4,000 from my great aunt, and at the bottom of the bag, a small blue bank book, an account I'd never seen, with my name on it. I opened that for you when you were 14. She cried. I'd saved almost $4,000 for you. He found it. He drained it. He told me you'd ask for it for a car. $4,000. Gone. I didn't comfort her. I just let her fall apart. That night, I sat at the desk in the guest room. I assembled everything. The credit reports, Richard's signed letter, the text from Chloe, the photos from Kyle, the email from the business partner, and I added every single new bank statement from my mother's grocery bag. I put it all into a single, thick envelope. On the front, I wrote 2 words, fraud and theft. The next morning, I drove to my old house, walked up the front path, and slid the envelope into the mail slot. I heard it thud on the hardwood floor. I didn't knock. I just handed them the match. 2 weeks passed. Pure silence. Then, a text from my brother. Kyle, can we meet? We met at a diner. It looked hollow. The folder. Jenna. He rasped. That folder. He narrated the entire collapse. The folder was the bomb. Linda filed for divorce. Using the evidence, the business partner called the loan. The company was gone. The relatives were filing a joint lawsuit. Richard was facing charges. And Chloe. She'd freaked out when she was flagged for fraud. And just disappeared. He ruined us. Jenna. Kyle whispered, staring at the table. I stood up. The old me would have cried. But I was just done. He didn't ruin you. Kyle, I said, you all just finally ran out of my money. I left him there. That night, at a quiet dinner with my aunt and uncle, he looked at me and smiled. You know, Jenna, he said, you're home. No strings. I felt something in my throat tighten. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn a place at a table where I was never wanted to, but I learned family isn't just about blood. It's about the people who choose to stand by you, the people who offer you safety. My real victory wasn't their collapse. It was realizing I was finally, truly, safe. If this story resonated with you, share it. You never know who might need to hear that they're not alone. And let me know in the comments, what does the word family truly mean to you?